All right, everyone. Welcome back to Game Over Cancer. Our next run is ready. I am very excited for this one because I'm sure you've all seen Super Mario Bros. 3, but have you seen the Speedrunners Edition? This ROM hack makes some exciting changes to the game, and we have the incredible Stewie Cartman here to show it to us. Let's jump right into this any percent Warpless run.
All right. So, yep, I am Stewie Cartman, and I'm joined by Teeks88, the current world record holder for Warpless. How are you doing
Yes, good
tonight,
evening,
Teeks?
everybody. I'm doing quite well, thank you, and yourself. Thanks so
Doing
much for
pretty
having
good.
me.
All right. So, 3, 2, 1, go.
So yeah, as we were mentioning before, actually, I just wanted to make a little side note. Stewie and I actually have raced in Super Mario Bros. 3 and past Game Over Cancer events. Ooh, got a quick death there.
Oh, good
It's
old
okay,
classic.
right?
Good old classic 1-1 death.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing to happen. It's the jitters. We'll shake it off. We're all good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, interesting to note, Stewie and I actually raced in Mario 3 in past Game Over Cancer events, which of course has been a lot of fun. But we're really happy to be doing something a little different this time around. As was mentioned before, Speedrunners Edition is a mod of SMB3 that was developed by our friend Macober52. And as the name implies, this mod addresses a lot of the key elements in the game that can slow you down. For instance, all instances of the auto-scrolling have been removed, as well as half of the throne room cutscenes. Additionally, Hammer Brother movements have been severely limited to just going back and forth between one of two spots on the overworld map, so we don't have to worry about, having these really long marathons or being able to be forced into a fight where you would ordinarily want to avoid. And crippling patterns have been locked into a single pattern, which makes the fire killing of the bosses a lot easier. So all of these things will allow for much more consistent routing, with some divergence to the item management you would typically go with in the vanilla game. And because the auto-scrolling is pretty much disabled, some of those levels are going to be a bit faster, so it's actually more worthwhile to play them and to skip over others.
Yeah, I just thought of something too now. Since that death in 1-1, I actually can't get the early flower before the airship now. Because the Hammer Bro will be in the wrong spot.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. You actually do save a little bit of time if you're able... You're actually able to save like half a second if you're able to grab the fire flower in the Hammer Bro fight, because the clock does not stop ticking down. Whereas if you picked it up in the airship, you would still get that little bit of delay before you can regain control of Mario.
Yeah, so when I mentioned the early flower earlier, so there's 2 tiles on the World 1 map where you can get the fire flower before the airship. One of them is the tile directly above 1-6, which is what normally happens here. And the other one is right next to the fortress, but that one, we will never get that one on this edition since the Hammer Bro is locked to the 2-tile spot.
Alright, so Stewie was able to get the optimal flower grab where he just bunks the corner of the block really quickly, and you can just clip your head partially into there as the flower is coming out. So, very swag to see. And it's also really important to do that because you could skip one of the cannonball cycles too.
I started shooting the fireballs the wrong way for the second part of that fight. Oh well.
Yeah, as we make our way through World 2, we're pretty much going to be taking the traditional route here. So I do believe Stewie's going to be skipping the music box, which we would normally encounter earlier on in the world.
Is now a good moment for a donation?
Sure,
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
for it.
We have $10 to the Canadian Cancer Society from Raccoon Dog 24FPS with no comment, but thank you so much for that donation. And I just want to remind folks that Gamer Cancer has some incredible games available as prizes this year. For a donation of $5 or more, you'll be entered in to win one of Street Fighter VI, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, which is both the first and second game, and Monster Hunter Wilds. And we want to thank Capcom and Pro Peace for donating the keys for those games.
Thank you very much, Raccoon Dog.
Yeah, Raccoon Dog is a mutual friend of ours in the community. He's always been really awesome, so thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
There we go. I was having trouble with that earlier. Yeah, so normally that early P-Speed build strat was at one point considered one of the more difficult P-Speed strats to get. And then, it was Teeks, Bagler, a couple other runners in the community that we found really good visual cues to jump from, and then that mini turn back there that I did over that one dry bones, I learned that from Teeks.
And it's funny because I learned that turn back strat from Furopen, who was a Japanese runner who was pretty active between 2020 and 2021.
Oh, that's right.
Alright, so Stewie's going to be going for what's called the green rocket, so he's going to pick up that green shell, and you can just see it just obliterating those blocks over there, so that's actually saves you about a half second.
There was another strat I used to do a couple years ago that I learned from another runner called the red rocket, but that one turned out to be slower.
Yeah, you end up generating about 40 lag frames somewhere in the middle of that second stomp.
Shout out to Kujo IHSV for the red rocket strat.
Yeah, I know that the Angry Sun level is one of the more infamous levels in SMB3. I'm sure it gave us a lot of trouble growing up, but as far as the speedrun goes, it's actually pretty straightforward, and as long as you're staying on those rows of blocks, you generally have nothing to worry about.
I'd say it's probably the easiest level in the game. Or one of the easiest.
So yeah, in Speedrunners Edition, the Hammer Brother that actually contains the hammer is conveniently located right by 2-4, and that's the route that you want to take on this circuit because 2-4 is actually 1 second faster than 5.
Yep.
And if you're playing the 100% category, that sets you up perfectly to break the rock for the Warp Whistle.
Ideally, I would have liked the Hammer Bro to been above the pyramid just so there's less map movements, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
How did I get that back?
Yeah, that was a really nice regain of P-Speed there. Alright, I'm gonna see it 284, 283.
Well, if
it's all good.
I didn't bonk the wall there, probably. Oh well. Well, actually, I think that initial P-Speed loss killed the 284, but oh well.
So yeah, because of the fact that you have to do so many turnbacks to get past those big crates once you're past that question block, that can cause a lot of variance in the kind of fire kill pattern you can get from Morton. Because the pattern that you get is normally based on an internal timer from the last level you completed. So yeah. Thankfully, we had a pretty pleasant time with him. We knew exactly what he was going to do: just shoot early and just drop off.
Yeah, it was with the most recent update that Makobra was able to. I'm not sure how he did it, but he was able to lock the Koopa Kid patterns. So there'll be all the quote-unquote easy patterns that we normally get in Warpless.
Yeah, even in the vanilla game, you can generally predict what the the Koopalings are going to do. So if you basically know how many spaces you're moving from the overall map from the last level you completed to the castle, and enter the pipe right away, and know how many times the Hammer Bros moved before you were able to regain control of Mario. You can pretty much guess, like, oh, it was a movement of one pattern, it was a movement of two patterns, so, oh, he's actually going to jump early, or he's going to shoot right away.
Yeah, almost
it's very convenient to have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, almost every time you'll know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and in Speedrunners Edition, we actually do. So yeah, 3-2 is definitely one of the trickier P-Speed strats to go for, as we saw. You have to be very peculiar. You have to be very particular about how small your jump is as you're making your way onto those moving rafts.
Yeah, I think that
If he was able to pull it off, that would have been
I think that was too big of a jump, the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, getting early P-speed there generally saves about 3 seconds overall. Yeah, 3-3 is a really fun one, and I love this, I love just crossing over that spinner right there.
I almost whammed the Koopa there. That was scary.
Yeah, I always get scared whenever I see runners just jumping over the spinner, because I feel like they're just going to get knocked into the water.
Yeah.
But generally it is very, very safe. Ooh, let's go! So Stewie got a strategy that was called Door 3. Traditionally, the dev-intended route is to go through the 6th door, and that'll land you on a platform with the stairs that'll take you to the Boom Boom Room. But with Door 3, you actually save about 3.5 seconds by getting a free perfect input to re-enter that door in midair. So that was a really fun gamble to go for.
That's the second time tonight I've done that.
Always a great feeling when you're able to pull it off. 3-4 is actually one of my favorite levels in World 3. Everything just flows so well.
It does. By the way, I did not plan that door 3 at all. That was just an on-the-fly decision there.
Hey, you gotta do it for the people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
My man Stewie delivered. So you always want to go for both of the Hammer Bro fights in World 3 so that the bridge will open up so you can cross over to 3-8. Ordinarily in the vanilla game, we would just use the cloud to skip over 3-6 because it's an auto-scroller. With that disabled, it's actually a pretty fast level. You can get through that pretty smoothly. And it's also beneficial because it also opens up a path to level 3-7. So we're going to see him crossing over to there first. So not only can he rebuild the bridge, but he could also pick up he could also go to Coin Heaven and pick up a cloud there. And that's going to come up later. It's going to be very helpful for the routing in the end game.
By the way, that last jump to the pipe at the end of 3-6, that's a really scary one to pull off. Because if I miss it, not only do I die, but then also the bridge pattern to cross over to 3-8 is messed up.
See, I don't know about everybody else, but 3-8 is one of those levels that really gave me a lot of problems as a kid.
Same.
I was always really, really bad swimming and just always got stuck in the position I was trying to get out of. And Boss Bass always got me. And that's a really bad place to take a death because you just finished crossing over the bridge, now it's closed, and now you have to take another death to get back to where you were.
Yep.
And in the vanilla game, you would be short of cloud, so that would pretty much be a reset in the run.
That's an insta-run ender right there.
Alright, very nice. So, Stewie was able to pull off the infamous H jump. So, if you're able to get past all those ice blocks and you're able to make it past the H-shaped platform, that saves about 5 seconds, and it removes any lag that goes along with it, too.
Yeah, if you miss the H jump, depending on how many sprites are on the screen, it can generate a ton of lag.
Yeah, every time you pick up one of those ice blocks, those flashy colors generate a lot of, it's a lot for the game to process.
Oh, I had the pixel, no.
Yeah.
I had it for the wall jump. That would have been another really nice time save.
Yeah, I think that's actually about a 1 second time save. Alright, got a very clean kill on Wendy. We're making some very good progress here.
Okay, so the time loss from 3-2 and then getting door 3 balanced out. I lost 0.2 seconds on my PB. So that sounds about right.
We got a moment for a quick message.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
I just want to remind folks that we have a bid war open for the Love 123 run that's going to be happening later tonight. It's to decide between Classic 100% or Remastered 100%. This means that we're going to see the Classic Love 1 levels or the Remastered 1 levels. Remaster is currently in the lead by about $32, but you still have plenty of time to change that and to see the classic ones if you want, which are shorter but harder. So if you want to make things harder for Hep and Wana, get those donations in, mention in your comment that that's what you're putting it towards.
Alright. So I don't know about other people, but a lot of people's favorite level or favorite world in SMB3, I would think a lot of people would say 4 just because of the giant enemies and the giant blocks. In a speedrun, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of mixed consensus in the community. Some people love it, some people still, some people hate it. But one thing's for sure, it is one of the more technical in terms of execution.
Definitely.
And it does lend itself to a lot of RNG variances because there's a lot of spaces where those 3 Hammer Bros can cause a lot of trouble between unwanted fights and potential marathon spaces.
So one thing I'll mention from one of my former PBs in the vanilla run, I had a run where I fought the Cloud after 4-2, which is normally what we want. My reward for that was having the other 2 bros converge onto each other in Marathon, walk all the way to the other side of the map and walk onto me, so I'm forced to fight both of them.
Yeah, fun little fact. It's actually it's theoretically possible to completely soft lock the game by doing an infinite marathon in World 4. And if anybody's curious what that looks like, Lord Tom made a task about it, so it could be found on YouTube. Yeah, Stewie tried to go for a really risky strat called the Wacky Lackey. So you saw he did that duck jump after building P-Speed on the wall, and when you pop up right away, it puts you right in front of the Lagartu as he's throwing that Spiny. And if you time your fireball perfectly, you can kill the Spiny and get a boost off of that Lagartu for a little extra speed. And yeah, clean navigation through that will actually save about 2/3 of a second.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I practiced it, but for a marathon run, why not?
Yeah, I mean, even with practice, it's tough to be consistent. It depends on like how much mileage you get with that duck jump, and yeah, if you're holding right when you're popping up out of the water. But yeah, we got some really clean backup strats in 4-6, so yeah, really nice recovery there.
Yeah, normally in the vanilla run, losing fire at any point in World 4 is disaster. It's very hard to recover from that because there's really no good spots to get a fire flower back in World 4.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's still backup strats for instances where you don't have fire flower, and you can get through it relatively fast, but those little misoptimizations really do add up over the course of the world.
Yeah.
So if you're going through all of World 4 without any fire flower, like if you lost it on Wendy or something, that's automatically like 10 seconds gone. Because you don't get another fire flower back until you actually get to the second fortress.
Yeah. And now we have everyone's most hated airship in the entire vanilla run. But as we just saw there on this version, it is not even like what was that? Not even 20 seconds, if even that.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was managed quite well.
And it's usually almost 2 minutes in the vanilla run, roughly. But
so yeah, we saw.
I was just gonna say that World 4 airship is not the longest auto-scroller in the game. World 7's a little bit longer than World 4, but it looks like a longer auto-scroller because of how slow it moves.
Yeah, it's still very, very close in comparison. Like, I think World 4 airship, if you're able to pull out the fire kill on Iggy, is about 2 minutes and 13 seconds if you include the throne room cutscene.
Yeah, that sounds
Whereas,
right.
most of the time when you complete World 7, you have the hammer suit equipped by the end of World 7. So if you're doing the stun kill on Ludwig, that ends up being about 216.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saw Stewie take the P-Wing Hammer Bro fight in World 4, so that's going to have a couple of uses over the course of this route. Again, we are going to be doing a little bit of divergence from the vanilla game, knowing the fact that auto-scrollers are disabled, so being able to fly in certain spaces is going to come in handy later on, as we'll get to. But one of the first uses we see is with the P-Wing usage in 5-1, so yeah, he's going to use that music box he picked up.
I did forget to mention.
5 and 7.
I did forget to mention. So with this version, with how the bros are lined up, we don't box until after the fort instead of after. Or no, we box after the fort to get the Sky Bro to line up so we can skip him. Because if we box before, he's in the way.
Yeah, that's a really important point. With Speedrunners Edition, the Hammer Bro movements are going to be restricted between one of two spaces on the overworld map. So, with that knowledge, we know exactly where the Hammer Bro is going to be, depending on when we music box before or after the fortress. So he's using the music box after World 5 Fort 1.
Oh.
So we know that the Hammer Bro is going to be in a position where we can skip him after 5-7.
By the way, I'm just gonna mention now, I know I went for Door 3. I am not going for Jesus Clip, because if I miss that, then I have to fight the Sky Bro.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. And then, if you wanted to regain your power-ups, that's going to take a bit of time, unless you go to the Mushroom House, which is like 13 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5-4 is one of those levels that was infinitely termed the Soul Reaper, and yeah, it's notorious for dropped inputs, as we can see with all those heavy lag frames.
Yep. Even at the beginning, with those first sets of spinners, it can generate quite a bit of lag.
Yeah, depending on which platforms you're jumping on and which spinners that you land on, that could actually... Just your routing, even though you're still running through with P-speed, differences in lag frames can make the level faster, a bit
I did
slower.
not want that leaf. There we go.
Very, very nice P-speed strats from Stewie. That's a very scary one to go for in World 5. Definitely one of the more technical levels in the game.
There is another way you can do that strat, where you can damage boost out of the tail from the end of 5-5, but I think that one's a little more difficult.
Yeah, I think that a little bit of the concern comes from the fact that you don't have the same invincibility frames as you do with the stars, so you have to kind of route yourself accordingly of where those pile driver blocks will be. So we got the swag pipe clip in 5F2. It's a signature Stewie move.
I mean, in randomizer it is. If I'm doing vanilla attempts, it's not. Because that actually is slower.
Like I said, gotta do it for the people.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was actually an interesting note that was made about 5-8 in the Nintendo Power magazine that pretty much challenges runners to, or challenges players to get to this level without taking damage on the Lagatures or the Spinies, but...
Challenging.
with the speedrun routing, that's a piece of cake. Just run and don't stop running.
So, one other fun little tidbit about 5.8. A couple of years ago, there was a console and an EverDrive I was using at the time. Actually, hold on a second. Yeah, there was a console I was using at the time, and I have no clue what caused it. None of the testers have been able to figure it out. I get to the end of 5.8, and out of nowhere, it triggers the level end without me grabbing the card. I have no clue what happened. I asked every tasker I knew if they could try brute force replicating it, and none of them were able to.
I think that eventually one of the glitch hunters was able to replicate it, but it had to be done artificially by just manually going in and just changing bits of the code in order to replicate it. But that's not something that can really organically be done via RTA. Yeah. So it might have just been an instantaneous hardware failure.
It probably was, because I have not used that console since.
I remember our friend Jabum had a similar anomaly where I think he finished level 1-1, and you know how when Mario does his jumping animation, he lifts his hand up?
Yeah.
Yeah, after he grabbed the card, he just did this continuous fist pumping motion.
What?
Until it faded out.
Please tell me a clip of that exists.
It does. I'll show it to you later.
Awesome. Alright, so 6-4 is a little bit scary. Only because there is a pretty speed build you can do there, but I am not too good at it, so I don't go for it. And then this part here at the end with all those spinners, and if there's enough lag, if you drop an input, it's a bad time.
Yeah, there is a little bit of luck involved with the 6-4 P-speed strat, because there is some subpixel dependency for it, and depending on which value you happen to be on when you start, it'll require you to do either a 1-frame or a 2-frame jump in order to land perfectly flush with the platform and build the arrows. And if you're able to pull it off, that actually saves a second and a half. Alright, 6-5 is going to be a little scary, so I'll let him cook.
There we go.
So yeah, traditionally in 6-5 you want to despawn at least one of the two nippers that are on top, because the dev intended route has you grabbing the Koopa shell in order to knock them both out before breaking the blocks with the tail. But yeah, you could either despawn one of them just by going through there really fast and knocking out one of the Buster Beetles as you go down the hill. But one of the runners in the Finnish Mario 3 community came up with an alternative strat where you can just grab those two ice blocks as Stewie did. And yeah, it's much safer because it means you don't have to go for any of the tail whips when you're running with the P-wing. So losing that tail could pretty much be in run ender as well. So that's a very nice safety net that only costs you about a couple frames.
There was one of my former PBs. It was actually my 5133. That run actually was 50 pace until I got hit in that level. Luckily, it was right near the start of the level, so I was able to get a leaf and somewhat recover it, but that's still a huge, huge time loss.
Yeah, shoutouts to Mondi from the Finnish SMB3 community. He's the one who came up with the alternative despawn strat in 6-5, also known as the Kurumboku, or the squirrel kick.
Yep. I don't think I was high enough.
So yeah, Stewie intentionally rubbed that big block there as a sort of subpixel manipulation, so we can get that wall jump. Interestingly, that's another thing that Nintendo Power hinted at back in the day, without exactly spelling out for the players. But yeah, you can pretty much get that wall jump and you can skip over the entirety of the underground section. So I mentioned earlier that Stewie intentionally grabbed one of the P-Wing Hammer Bro fights in World 4. So we're about to see that play out in the right after this fort concludes. Definitely one of the scary ones to go through when I started out doing.
Too high of a jump.
Not exactly advisable, but respectable effort nonetheless.
Yeah. So what I was trying to do there is there's a clip that we can go for in the ground there, where we can skip that entire elevator section, and it's about a 7.5 second time save over that spot.
And yeah, there's no way you can do any sort of subpixel manipulation for it, just because you're pretty much prevented by the conveyor belts, causing so much variation in your values.
Yeah,
So yeah, we now see that extra P-wing in action, so we can just pretty much fly over the entirety of the World 6 airship, and that saves. I want to say what, 5 seconds, 6?
roughly, yeah. The only real way we could do a subpixel manip for 6F3. I don't know what subpixel I'm on. The only real way we could do a subpixel manip for 6F3 is if we were to do that entire fort without doing any turnbacks, which in theory is possible, but it is very difficult.
Yeah, you can peace bait through the fortress without doing any turnbacks and still be able to dodge the rotodiscs. And there is one section where you can actually skip over one of the conveyor belts by not doing any turnbacks. But that's incredibly hard in a very, very small timing window. And
it's not worth it.
Yeah. Even if you're able to get past all that, there's still a little bit of luck involved.
I don't think the jump was good. Oh, second try, okay.
Very nice. So yeah, speaking of the subpixel manipulation, that's actually something that we do at the end of the Lemmy fight in order to prepare ourselves for the clip in 7-1. So we saw Stewie trying to move 1 pixel to the right to put himself on a low value, and that sets him up for that duck jump he was trying to go for.
I was either on a bad subpixel or the jump was bad, and I'm not sure. There we go.
Alright, so with 7-2 down, yeah, I can elaborate a little bit more on that. That was that's another strat that's been coined, the fast 7-2 strat, which was popularized by Mitch Flowerpower back in around 2021, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds
might have been
right.
a little bit earlier, but that's around the time that it started to really gain traction, and more of the top level runners started to go for it. Yeah, it does save about 2 seconds.
Yeah, so earlier tonight, I actually did have a run where I was 11 seconds ahead of my PB going into World 7. And usually, like, even a vanilla run, 7-1 can be a huge run ender, depending on how long the clip takes. And I get the clip first try, and then I messed up fast 7-2, which is an instant GG. But, oh well.
Alright, so most of the route is not going to be changing for the rest of World 7, with the exception of a couple of additional clouds we're going to have towards the end. So this is pretty much going to be Item Abuse Island, so we're going to be using our P-Wing in 7F1, and another P-Wing.
I am definitely not on Subpixel 3.
Oh, we're going for the clip in 7.6, okay.
Well, I don't have another P-Wing. Ah, that jump was late.
Yeah, the thing that's particularly the thing that particularly stinks about the 7.6 clip is that you don't really have any reliable visual cues like you would in 7.1 because you have horizontal pipes instead of the verticals. So it's hard to use the green and black stripes as a sort of visual cue of when to jump. So you kind of just have to aim the bill of Mario's hat into that corner pixel when you come up on it. And because that clip tends to favor middle subpixel values, it's a little bit hard to manipulate for. But there are some backup strats for that as well. If you know that you're on the low value, you can do a rub on that pipe.
Oh my god. I cannot believe I got away with that.
Yeah, that was a really sweet backup. I didn't know what to expect from that.
Oh, they tried. Okay. So that could have been disaster.
So yeah, if anybody remembers the extra clad that we got from the 3-7 Coin Heaven, we're going to be burning that right now. Normally we would play either 7-9 or 7F2 in the vanilla run, but again, with the auto-scrolling disabled in 3.6, it actually makes it worthwhile to go for. Because 7.9, on average would take about roughly 40 seconds to go through, and it's definitely one of the longer levels in the game, unless you're super duper lucky with all the clips. And
Yeah,
7F2
okay.
is close to 30 seconds if you do fast hammer strats, so it makes sense to skip both of them, along with World 8 Fortress, which is again around 40 seconds.
And one other thing I forgot to mention is towards the end of 7-8. So if you notice there, I did get hit with one of the fires from the Muncher plant. But if you have the hammer suit and you're ducking, and you get hit with a fire sprite, you will not take damage.
Yeah, it's another really fun feature of the hammer suit, having the fireproof ability on those little fireballs. Alright, so with the tank auto-scrolling disabled as well, hopefully we'll be able to see some P-speed strats for this. It's a little bit tight, so I'll let him focus for this.
There we go.
And a 290 in the pipe, which pretty much means he did it.
Oh, that Boomerang Bro tried. He tried.
He did. I was not expecting that high throw, but
I wasn't either.
yeah, with the 290 IGT in the into the pipe, he pretty much did that optimally, and that saves about 3 seconds over no P speed. And Navy is going to be definitely one of the easiest World 8 military levels we'll encounter.
We're saving Bob.
Yeah, Bob is the bomb that you encounter right as you enter the Navy pipe.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
one
Angelic
fun little.
Jade.
Yeah, another fun little feature of the Speedrunners edition. Look, Ma, no hands. That's right, you never have to worry about hand RNG in World 8 in Speedrunners edition. So smooth sailing all the way to the Air Force. I remember, Stu, you were saying to me a while ago that you actually prefer this autoscroller to be on, just because the platforming is a little scary with those single tile platforms.
Yes. I don't know, like there's just something about this level without the auto scroll I hate.
Yeah, because of how high the elevation is on some of those little Air Force platforms, you never feel like you're going fast enough. So you try to force it, and then you get a little reckless, or at least in my case. Yeah, and anti-shoutouts to the Air Force, by the way, because I actually lost my hammer suit in the world record. So if anyone wants to challenge it, that's 14 seconds you can save over me.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was looking at the time save when I got this PB compared to your World 8, and I saved about 20 seconds.
Oh, wow. Alright, more than I thought.
Well, because I went back and checked. Yeah, okay, I got him. And when I was looking at the Fireflower grab in 8-1, you also didn't get P-speed there, so that's a little more time loss. Now we have the extra star. So now this way we can just... There you go.
Yeah, there's no purpose for the star for the rest of World 8, so that's actually a very good use there. Looks like we're on pace for a. You might just
I'm gonna
be
go for this.
Ooh.
Ah, come on.
Alright, so Stewie's going for what's called Bowser's Basement. This is something that you normally would not attempt unless you're really desperate for a PB, or you're going for world record in no wrong warp. In which case it would actually be necessary to get that sub 1040.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's close to what, 34 Troy? That's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
More often than more often than less, it actually gives you a lot of problems because you're trying to do that clip without P speed. So you could potentially be there for a very long time. But
Yeah.
thankfully, not the case. Hi, Bowser. Bye, Bowser.
It's even harder with the Fire Flower because you need that star that you get from the false tank, and then you need to wall jump as Big Mario and then zip right after. Oh, also time.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs out for Stewie Cartman with a 39.16. Really, really solid time overall. Really happy to see it.
Thank you.
And shout outs again to Strizer for having us and being able to showcase what an awesome hack is.
Yeah.
SMB3 is a very, very important game for the both of us. So really happy we got to talk about it and show it off.
Yeah.
And shout outs again to Macobra52 because without him, this patch would not be possible.
Definitely. Yeah, I was gonna say thank you again to Strizer. Yeah, thank you Macobra. Thank you Teeks for being an amazing competitor and co-op teammate in both Vanilla
My pleasure,
and
thank you.
Speedrunners Edition.
Thanks so much, and likewise.
Alright.
Thank you so much for this incredible run. That was a ton of fun to watch.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment with our next run here at Game Over Cancer. I'm just going to remind everyone that we do have a bid war open. It's going to be closing fairly soon, so if you want to change that, !I in chat, I believe, to learn about the incentive, or !D in chat to go donate. We'll be back with you in just a moment.